Hey everyone, it's Robin here at the International Conference of Urban Health on the Good Place bench in Marrakech. Who would have thought? This is how life goes. Suddenly, you're here. I'm happy the sun's out. Everybody feels like it's in a good mood. And I'm here joined by Carlos. And it's pretty exciting because you launched a book, and your book's here. And I now gave it away, but I'll leave it up to you to quickly introduce yourself and tell us a bit more who you are, where you're from, and what brought you to Marrakech.
Thank you, Robin. I am Carlos Moreno, professor at Sorbonne University in Paris, researcher, academic. I was born in Colombia. However, I live in France, in Paris, for 45 years, and today my research is oriented for human-centered cities, and in particular proximities. I am the creator of this concept, the 15-minute city.
Beautiful. It's a term that I've come across a few times, and I've seen your name pass by as well. I didn't know you were part of the program, so that's a happy accident. For those who don't know the 15-minute concept, how could you, or how would you explain it?
The 50-minute city, this is a concept for transforming our cities, in particular for offering a decentralized city, for creating more creative, revigorated neighborhood, and for offering within a short perimeter an access to essential services in order to improve the quality of life. Local shops, local commerce, cultural activities, school, cinema, theaters, green areas, decentralized jobs in an interconnected city. The question is not the number of minutes. This is very popular, 15-minute city at the beginning. But
could be 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah. I said 15-minute city for high-density cities and 30 minutes for medium and low-density areas, including rurality. But this is no matters, the number of minutes.
You need something to pull people in.
Yeah.
And this is part, of course, of a long research. How long have you been working on this concept?
I have started this research in 2010. For 14 years. I have developed this concept. At the beginning, in fact, my first discipline is mathematics and computer science. For a long time, I have worked in this smart city idea to develop cities based on optimization of resources by technologies. In 2010, I have stopped this smart technology center city for embracing this new research, more oriented design of cities by services to offer a more city-centered city. To, in fact, develop a more resilient city in face with three essential issues: global warming, economical poverty, and social exclusions. In order to regenerate our cities for offering a more resilient city in face with climate change, more CO2 emissions by walkability and by capability, to develop a multi-purpose functions for building that exist in order to break out with the single function of buildings and to have a most compact city, and at the same time to relocalating jobs, to develop a more local economy, local employment, short circuits in a decentralized city. And the third point, to have a more human and vibrant neighborhood, to avoid to develop this dormitory neighborhood and to have more local activities.
And life.
for having a city for people, a human scale city. In the idea of Jane Jacobs in 60s, 70s, in the idea with my friend, the Danish urbanist Jangel. Jangel wrote in 1992, Cities for People.
Which is their payoff, their slogan.
Exactly. Jane Jacobs coined in 70s the concept of living city, a livable city. And in fact,
My creative studio is called A City Made by People.
this is the idea. In fact, for a long time, at the same time when cities have switched towards car-centered cities, we have been accepting to become the new Moreno centers, half human, half car. We had thinkers and doers committed for having, instead of centers, 100% humans in cities. At the beginning, at the end of 19th century, we have the Garden City with a Wessner Award. At the beginning of the 20th century, we have Clarence Perry with the modular unit neighborhood. In 70s, we have Christopher Alexander, the new urbanismo, Jane Jacobs, 19th, Jangel. And in fact, we wanted to revigorate this global movement for embracing a way for having in the 21st century, in the context of global warming,
The three pillars you mentioned.
massive ubiquity at the same time. This dimension, ecological and economical, with the new paradigm for generating a more interconnected city and at the same time to revigorate our neighborhood. Recently in Cairo, we had the 12th World Urban Forum. The motto for this, the biggest event in urbanism in the world, was it all starts at home. It all starts locally. This is so important, in fact, today, for having this local dimension in a human way, humanistic way for cities.
Because you think throughout the decades we lost that feeling of humanity in cities.
We have lost humanity in cities. We have lost the notion of useful time. In reality, we have accepted the unacceptable, to become a slave just of the time for commuting, for going from my home to a job, to spend 1 hour, 2 hours, even more in the double house, just for have a wage. And we have accepted to lost our social interactions in our neighbors. We have accepted to lose our biodiversity as well, given that the predominant role of cars, the individual cars in cities, are the most important source of pollution, congestion, traffic jams, mineral cities at the same time. And we have accepted this economic model of the real estate for having the CBD, the cooperative business district, for going so far away, just for working. In reality, I have started this research in 2010. I proposed for the first time this concept in 2016, a few months after the COP21 in Paris, when the countries have signed the Paris Agreement. I said at this moment, for fighting global warming is not enough to sign by countries a commitment. We need, in fact, to change the shape of cities, because cities are the most important contributor on CO2 emissions, and cities are the most places for developing the single use of buildings. And I
Especially
proposed,
because of the growing population.
of course, in a
Everybody
just
getting to cities.
in a shortest lifetime,
Yeah.
just in 50 years,
Yeah.
we have multiplied by 2, by 3, by 4.
Yeah. But like
The number of
70% almost
inhabitants.
lives in cities. Yeah.
Of course, in my continent where I was born, in South America. I left South America 45 years ago. At this moment, we had 30% of urban dwellers, 70% of rural dwellers. 45 years ago is less than the inverse, 20% of rural dwellers, 80% of urban dwellers. In 45 years, it's totally crazy.
Yeah, it's where the money flows as well, huh?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
In the global south, this is the case as well in Africa, we have created in just 5 decades the big metropolises, and in particular, almost 1/3, even half population lives in the informal settlements as well. The precarious housing without services is one of the characteristics of the global south. 20% of the world population lives today in precarious housing. But what means to live in precarious housing? Just to have, in the best of cases, a roof for walls. But living in a city is not just to have a roof for walls. Living in a city is to have access to education, culture, medical services, a job, green areas, freshness, etc. This is the sense of the 15-minute city, to offer in all city these essential services for satisfying.
But Carlos, for who is the book? The book is for whom?
My book is, in fact,
Is it the citizen? Is it the government? Is it the...
both. In fact, if we wanted to transform our cities, this book, I wanted to share, on the one hand, the principles of the 50-minute city, the X-minute city, the happy polycentric proximity. For changing our cities, we need a new commitment of the local governors, mayors, presidents of metropolises. This book is oriented for this kind of governance. But at the same time, we need to change the mindset of citizens.
Yeah, exactly.
For switching from 7 decades of the king car towards a more livable city, we need to change radically our daily behavior. A lot of people consider that a car is a synonym of freedom. This is a mindset, a structure.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I think it's also, it defines where you live, where you decide to live, where you want to work, how you want to work. I mean, it's weird to say this, but for example, the pandemic, in relation to the 15-minute, has been actually favorable for the concept of a 15-minute city, because people started to realize I can work from home, I can work remote, I have more time in a day, and now people don't want to go back. But companies make them come back.
Companies.
Yeah.
Companies. Yes, of course. After COVID-19, in fact, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of people have discovered the new technologies for transforming the daily work style.
But they already lived the 15-minute concept. Almost.
Absolutely. Even more, a lot of people have discovered in a building to have neighbors.
Yeah.
A lot of people have discovered the proximity shops, the proximity green areas. A lot of people have discovered the interest for having a urban health just by 20, 30 minutes to walk.
Or to exercise in a lunch break. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was a really surprise for a lot of people to access for having 1 hour, 2 hour more available for familial activities, for sociability, just for taking benefit with this useful time. And it was a real change. This is very interesting because the remote work was proposed by an American engineer, Jack Niles, for the first time in 1972. He coined the concept, the word telecommuting. 1972. We need 50 years until 2022
For the pandemic.
for becoming usual. 50 years. With the 50-minute city, a lot of people during pandemic have discovered the interest effectively for accessing for this proximity. And a lot of researchers have evoked today the strategic issues of capability by capability physical exercise, 20 minutes per day, 30 minutes per day, for reduction, for a strong reduction of
And extend your life
yeah,
expectancy.
yeah, absolutely. For fighting against obesity, for fighting against a lot of different diseases,
Mental health.
mental health as well. Yeah. Yesterday you had research published in France, more than 1 hour of the traffic jams, in fact, has in the midterm a negative impact in the mental health, stress.
That's why I not take the car that much. Carlos, I could talk to you hours about this topic. We were only giving 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to meet you again in Paris.
Yeah, of course.
On a public bench. I would appreciate that a lot. The last question always is, it's a bit of a no-brainer in this context, but the last question always is, what is a good place to you? And what should we all do to make our place a good place?
This is very, very hard question for me because I am present in lot of cities around the world. But honestly, I was born in Colombia and I'm living in Paris for 45 years. In Paris, this is a wonderful city.
And it's a perfect 15-minute city.
Yes, Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, my friend Anne Hidalgo, she is a really determined, courageous, a pioneer mayor. And it is necessary to pay tribute to Anne Hidalgo in all circumstances because the 15-minute city is as well shared in her accomplishment.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Robin, thank you.
Thank you.
for this
Safe travels
invitation.
back home, huh?
Yeah.
And to everyone watching, check out the 50-minute city book and make up your minds. Ciao.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.